Hello, in this video I'm going to introduce you to JASP. So the first thing you want to do is download that CBS data file that's on the Canvas assignment page. And then you want to open up JASP. Hopefully you downloaded JASP to your computer per the instructions. It's much easier to have the program on your own device. That's why I've moved to using JASP versus SPSS. It is a free and open resource and available to all. However, if you really don't want to download it to your device or are having issues, you can access it through a Porto via the instructions on the Canvas instruction page. So now that I have JASP open, I'm going to open up that data set. And since for me it was a recent one, I don't have to go searching through my computer. Now if you are using a Porto, you are going to have to make sure that you are doing everything within that browser. You have to download the data set within that browser. You have to open up JASP within that Porto browser. Otherwise things will not work properly. All right, so here's my data set. This is the experiment that you guys just did in this module. And some of you attributed meaning to the words and some of you sound and form. And obviously it's a bigger data set. This is from multiple semesters of collecting data. And here are all the answers to the various questions. It was just yes or no. And then you asked what was your major. A slight problem with this is that instead of having it be pre-selected where you had specific choices and that it categorized it, having all of these choices, there are too many to get good descriptive data from this. Biological sex is here, age is here. Here are the answers to the words that they remembered, and then here are the words recalled correctly. I'm going to go up here to descriptives, and it opens up this window here, and I'm going to put condition, which is my independent variable, into the split column, and I'm going to put words recalled correctly into the variables column. And it gives me this table that looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and transpose those descriptives because I like the way the table looks better like this. We want to see the whole thing. We click that little arrow. We have the valid values, missing values, the mean, standard deviation, minimum, and maximum. So I want to go back and make a few more selections. So I want to go to the statistics drop-down menu here. And I want to scroll down and select standard error, the mean. Click this little arrow here. And now standard error, the mean is populated here. So if I click that arrow here, I now have a split screen. There might be some other things you might be interested in. Maybe you're interested in the median or the mode if it was categorical. You can get confidence intervals, all sorts of various things. So next we're going to go down to this basic plot drop-down menu. Scroll down here and we'll click on distribution plots. And it'll give me a distribution plot of words recalled correctly for meaning and for sound and form. So next we're going to go to customizable plots. We're going to click box plots. Automatically checks box plot elements. Well, it's a tongue twister. And I'm going to click label outliers. So here with the distribution plots, it's giving me the number of people that recall each of these number of words correctly. So here we see it's skewed a little bit here. This one's probably more evenly distributed for sound and form. And we're going to see here that there is an outlier here, and that's why this is skewed. Otherwise, if we removed this would be pretty much a normal distribution. So the box plots here tells us a lot of information. This is the maximum value, this is the minimum value, this is the median here, this is the top 75th percentile quartile, this is the 25th percentile quartile, and this here is an outlier. This little number next to it, because I clicked label outlier, tells me what row that outlier is in. So if I was to go back to my data set and go to row 14, I can see here they didn't even try to recall any words. So I'm going to say most likely this person just wasn't attempting to do anything for the experiment. So I could go back and remove that data. I'm not going to do that now, and I'm not going to ask you to do that, but that's something to think about if you have outliers like that in your data. I haven't used box plots a lot in the past for my own data, maybe just because of the type of research that I did. But it does give you a lot of information. It's not something you would report in an APA style report, but it gives you a lot of information about your data. All right, so now we're going to try and get information. I'm going to go ahead and label this. So I can go up here to edit the title of the analysis, and I'm going to just type in, I can erase descriptive statistics completely if I wanted to, but I'm just going to say descriptive statistics for words recalled. And then I'm going to close this for now, and I'm going to click on descriptives again, and it will open up a whole new window for descriptives. I'm going to go down here and do what's your biological sex, and it doesn't give me a whole lot of information. So if I go in here to statistics and I just remove, there's no mean for biological sex because it's a categorical, it's male or female. I can't get standard deviation, I can't get a maximum or a minimum. I don't want any of that. What I want to do is come down here to basic plots and get a distribution plot and a pie chart. So this then again tells me the number of females across the conditions, the number of males, and the number of prefer not to say. This gives me a pie chart of that information. I can actually come down here to customizable plots where it says colorblind, and I can change the colors. Not a whole lot of options, but there's a few. The last thing I want to do is to get a frequency table. Now you can see here there is a table drop down here, but you can see how it's kind of hidden. I don't know why it's like that, but it is. But if you click here, you can still get it, and you scroll down and we click on frequency tables. And again, something unusual is that instead of putting it down below, it puts it up here, but it gives us the information that we want. So here it tells us the frequency of females, 105, frequency of males, the percentage, the valid percentage, which is the same because it's all valid cumulative percentages, and so it just gives us some information. Now I could come back up here and rename this as well. I'll rename it Descriptive Statistics for Biological Sex. And one last thing we're going to go ahead and do is get some descriptives for age. So again, age is a continuous variable, so we can get a mean and a standard deviation, but all I'm going to have you do is go ahead and take that value and put it into the variables column, and it just gives you this information. Again, I like to transpose the data. I like to have the standard error of the mean, so it gives me the mean age, standard error of that age, standard deviation of the age, the minimum age, and the maximum age. Now technically, if this was a real data set we were working with, I would have to go in and remove any 17-year-olds because they can't give consent themselves to participate in experiments. So that's just something to think about when you conduct your own experiment. That'll be something that you will have to do. So again, using these arrows to click over, you can click that final arrow and it shows you the data set. Here we're back to a split page. I can go in here again and I'll rename this. And there's probably a few more things I could do with age, but that's good enough for now. So this is what you should have in your data set when you submit it to me, is a table that gives me the mean, standard error, standard deviation for meaning and sound and form words recalled correctly, the distribution plots, the box plots with the outlier identified, descriptives for biological sex with a frequency table, distribution plots, and a pie chart, and descriptive statistics for age. Just the table with the mean, the standard error, standard deviation. And hopefully you find JASP a little bit more user-friendly than SPSS.